So you could develop it in one sector, and as it improves, you could roll it out in others across the portfolio.
Exactly.
Wow. I've heard a lot about your innovative offshore, like marine solutions, and it's the first time I've got to have a look at one here. And these cranes, a lot of them are going to be I'm seeing talk about controlling them remotely. Tell me a little bit about what that means.
Okay, so we have the two major segments: land applications for land, what we see here, and application for marine.
Okay.
And we are trying really to, of course, each segment has specific requirements.
Yep.
An offshore crane on an oil rig is a different has different requirements than a loader crane on a construction site.
Yes.
But what's really in the common part about both application is, number one, safety.
Yes.
And second, productivity, efficiency, cost of operation.
Yes.
And when you look at the marine application, the safety factor is really critical. Bringing people to an oil rig, operating a crane on an oil rig where down there, 50 meters down there, there's a vessel with a container moving in the waves.
Yes.
With people who need to manually hook, a moving hook to a container. This is dangerous, really dangerous. So from that point, it's a huge potential, or the customers are requesting that we actually think about solutions where we can take people out of this, let's say, very harsh environment, dangerous environment. So that's one side. On the other side, if you look at the marine environment, actually it's from uncontrolled noise factors a lot easier.
Yes.
Because you don't have bicycle or kids walking through, a city.
Yes.
There are people who are educated. They know their job.
Yes.
So we have, of course, wind, waves, and those kind of things. But from an uncontrolled things, it's easier. So that's why we have decided that we actually are introducing, remote and autonomous operating assisting functions where the crane actually detects the object, controls himself, picks it up by themselves.
Okay.
In the marine side, because we have on one side customer really request this.
Yes.
And on the other side, it is easier to introduce in such an environment than to do this starting with that on our classical loader crane, timber recycling applications.
Okay, so the crane will be controlled remotely.
Well, that's the first step is to, build sensors into the crane.
Yes.
So that the crane more or less can detect the environment.
Okay.
And the first step, of course, is then to transmit this information to an operator.
Okay.
So he can control it by getting those signals.
Yes.
And he gets, the system will help him, like a assisting system to help him to find it, to get faster. But step by step, the system will take over more and more kind of functions and will actually move the operator out of this. So the operator is just somebody who's watching and checking, and maybe in the long run we don't need him at all.
Okay.
So this is really so we see remote operation really as a step in the roadmap towards autonomous operation.
Oh,
because
wow.
we need first build the sensors in.
Yes.
We need to transmit the sensors to the operator.
Yes.
So he can understand, feel the environment like he was standing here controlling it.
Yes.
If he does this from an office, how do we get all this information to him in a way so he can really control it?
Okay.
And if we have achieved this, then of course we can take him out and put in like an intelligent control system who takes the same input and operates the system by himself. So this is really the roadmap towards that.
Okay, and as you're developing this remote technology and how it's going to work, do you think this could have any applications in other industries?
Absolutely. No, first of all, we are participating on other industries as well, because autonomous driving, Industry 4.0, industry automation. So technology is now getting available. Software function to detect objects is really something where we don't really have to develop this from scratch. We are partnering with a lot of partners, universities to use this. But of course, the intention is not just to do this in the marine side. We are actually working in parallel that this technology is moved on a timber crane to detect locks.
Yes.
To, as we said, detecting containers.
Yes.
Helping to find the hook on the container. So we really overlap here, because this is the beauty of our wide portfolio, that we can develop technologies in a way so we can apply them to different applications, and we have scale.
So you could develop it in one sector, and as it improves, you could roll it out in others across the portfolio.
Exactly.